Here is picture I drew for this arc because I like character very much. Usopp very emotional, make me cry. Even though it's Tears of Fire, I still cry. So follow me on the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram to see more pictures and hear about crying. One Piece Syrup Village Arc Recap, Chapters 22 to 41.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another arc wrap-up on the epic and classic timeless tale of One Piece. This wrap-up is going to be for the Captain Kuro Arc, otherwise known as the Syrup Village Arc, and this takes place between chapters 22 and 41. And so it's one of the first arcs that we see that's a little bit longer, and it is the third arc in the East Blue Saga. Now, the basic rundown of this arc is that Luffy, Nami, and Zoro wind up, stopping in and kind of docking over here at Syrup Village, and kind of going there to grab a bite to eat and some supplies. It's just something that's kind of on the way, and they stop there. And we wind up being introduced to a character that winds up eventually joining the crew and becoming a mainstay, and is also a fan favorite and a favorite of mine because of his backstory, and that's Usopp. Usopp he's kind of like the village liar, and he's the boy who cried wolf. He basically every morning goes and yells, "The pirates are coming! The pirates are coming!" and tries to get the village all up in arms over this. And the village pretty much loves to hate him for this because he's been doing it for years. He has three little minions, Pepper, Onion, and Carrot, and they all kind of basically play pretend, like pirates. And he makes up these wild, fantastical stories. We're introduced to him very early on in the arc. And again, like I said, he's just immediately a very fun, likable character. He's a guy that can has a silver tongue and can spin a web of bullshit. And then we also wind up seeing, as the arc progresses, we see his heart and how he, how he is. So Luffy and company, they're looking for a bigger boat. They have these two smaller boats, one that Nami is in and one that Zoro and him are in. And they're looking for a bigger one, so they wind up going to actually try to go and ask the rich lady on the island, as they've been told by Pepper, Onion, and Carrot, and that's Mistress Kaya, or Lady Kaya. She's a young girl who has fallen ill, and her parents had died about a year ago, and she's been left under the protection of basically the parents' servants. They're rich, they have a mansion on the island. And Clahador, who we're introduced to, is her butler, and one that had come to the island a few years ago. Apparently his story was that he worked on some big cruise ship and basically made a mistake and was more or less marooned on this island, penniless and broke. Her parents took him in. He obviously became an entrusted member of the family, and once the parents did pass away, and they don't really say what, I don't know if it's sickness or they were killed or what have you, but he promises them that he'll take care of her. So she has been ill now for about a year, and he absolutely hates Usopp because Usopp goes and sneaks in and sneaks to her window all the time and tells her these wonderful tales and these stories, and he doesn't like him at all. We wind up finding out and are introduced to some really colorful characters too in this arc, but we find out very early on, probably within 4 or 5 chapters, that Clahador is really not who he says he is. He's overseen having a meeting down by the beach with a hypnotist by the name of Django. And we find out that Clahador is actually the famed Captain Kuro, thought to have been captured and executed by the Marines 3 years ago. As the story unfolds, we wind up finding out that he had a really genius. He was the captain of the Black Cat Pirates, and Django, who is a hypnotist, they wound up being fell upon by some Marines. He is this master assassin, and he has these great techniques that basically make him like the ultimate ninja. But he goes onto the boat, and this is told through a flashback. He actually goes onto the Marines' boat and kills everyone but one. And then Django hypnotizes him and basically makes him think that they captured and executed Captain Kuro. This Marine winds up, it ties in, and he has a broken jaw, so we wind up finding out that it goes back to the first arc where we saw old Axe Hand Morgan. He's got this lockjaw, this metal jaw, and this is how he was promoted up through the ranks for capturing, well, we think capturing this legendary and executing this legendary Captain Kuro. He did all of this and then went and basically told his guys, he said, Django, you're in charge of the ship now, drop me at this island. And he came up with this whole thing that he's been doing, and it was really, to me, it was one of the best arcs because he was so devious in what he did. For 3 years, he went and pretended as if he was somebody else. And all in the hopes that he could basically, have the parents killed off and have the fortune left to him by killing off Lady Mistress Kaya. But then being able to he's assimilated in with the town. Everybody loves him and knows him as Clahador, this faithful butler. He did this because he was tired of being chased as a pirate. And really it was kind of genius, Everything winds up, the shit hits the fan pretty quickly, and Luffy and company decide that they are going to actually help Usopp in defending his village. Usopp tries explaining to Kaya what happened. She doesn't believe him just because of their history, him and Clahador, having gone at it. And basically we have several chapters of some really cool action, and we see some really cool moves used by Luffy. We are introduced to Butchie and Siam, the Meow Band brothers, as Usopp and Nami and Zoro and Luffy are all pretty much working to take out Captain Kuro and the Black Cat pirates. And all in all, it was just a very, very fun arc, I think. It was one of the first arcs that really... Buggy's arc kind of got me into it just for some of the character development and seeing how the stories would play out. But this arc, it was the first arc to tie me in emotionally. It's the first one that really made me care and really made me realize that this isn't just a comical, cartoony-like manga, that there's really some depth here. And the reason for it is that when all is said and done, Captain Kuro and his pirates are defeated, and everybody is going to go on their way. The Straw Hat Pirates now have an extra member because Usopp's going to join them. But we find out and we see, and this was the emotional connection for me, we find out about Usopp's past. And it turns out that his father is actually a pirate. He's one of the not the first mate, but one of the crewmen for red-haired Shanks on his ship. He had left Usopp and his mother to go back to pirating at a young age. Usopp, I think, was only 8 or 10. And anyway, shortly thereafter, Usopp's mother became very ill. Usopp wound up creating these lies while she was on her deathbed about how his father was coming. The pirates were coming. The pirates are coming. That's where that came from. And it really had me choked up and in tears when I read the chapter and the and just the emotional backstory for it, because this young child who had lost his father early on, to obviously going off and not having any communication with him, wound up, to protect himself from the pain and the hurt that was happening with his mother dying in front of him, started telling these stories in the hopes that he could change her outlook on life and raise her spirits, or at least keep her happy in her final moments. Now, she winds up passing away, and Usopp then from that point on is kind of emotionally and mentally scarred by the whole experience and growing up without parents, without either parent now. And for the next, 8 or 10 years or whatever it is, every day gets up and the pirates are coming. It's his way of coping and dealing with that loss and that pain. And when I saw that, I'm a big movie buff, and I really like a lot of movies, anything from action to drama to, Western. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're all really cool. I mean, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. I enjoy it. But I'm a person who can pick apart and find the emotional value in the drama in a movie, And this, to me, it drew a response from me that really did. It had me choked up and in tears. So I really thought that it was excellent. My favorite character, as far as a hero, from this, would have to be Usopp. Not just because of his story, but because of his heart and his tenacity and his willingness. Even though he's just a normal person that happens to be good with a slingshot, he was able to go and bring together and kind of, convince, Luffy and Zoro and Nami that this was the good fight that they should fight. And they helped him, and ultimately he overcame a greater force, just being a regular, everyday person like you and me. So, and he's still, now I'm in the 6th or 7th arc, and he's still, one of my favorite characters because of his backstory and because of, just like I said, being a normal, everyday guy that rises to the occasion when need be. So, and then definitely I think at this point, I certainly liked Captain Kuro. I thought he was a great villain. I thought that for him to have been as devious and manipulative mentally, to me, that's more powerful than somebody who's just a big, powerful dude that has an axe, or that, there was like Buggy that can pull himself apart and do all these different moves. And he had some pretty slick moves too, Captain Kuro did, but ultimately it was the mental mind games that he played. The 3 years of plotting and planning and pretending, and just kind of assimilating in. it, makes me think to, like, those spy movies where you get these sleeper agents that go in and they act like a normal person in this other country for 5, 10, 15 years, and then when they're activated, boy, it hits the fan and all of a sudden they're doing some kind of dastardly deed. So that was really, really cool for me. All in all, I thought it was a fun arc, and certainly it was one that did get me in emotionally. So I like to do these wrap-ups for those of you that don't have the time to watch my 10 or 12-minute reviews of each chapter, especially as the arcs get longer. Then you can kind of get a general idea of what happened. So this was really kind of adding that next member to the crew, and and really just sort of gearing up and building towards ultimately that bigger crew. And Usopp, certainly in my opinion, is a great addition to the crew. A lot of great emotional highs in this one. So let me know what you think, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up or the like button if you think that I deserve it. And then subscribe if you haven't done so already. And we will look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
As always, thanks for watching, brothers and sisters, and remember, join the Nerd Nation. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Tell them Jim sent you.